Good evening. This is Mark Schmidt. I'm President and CEO of Cyberlux Corporation. Really great to be with you. This is our inaugural YouTube broadcast. Looking forward to using this medium to answer your questions, give us a chance to share our strategic direction with you as we go, and news items as we make the news as well. I'd like to first say that we really appreciate the Cyberlux community and the CYBL Army and all the support you give us. We wake up every day trying to figure out how to maximize shareholder value, and we appreciate the reciprocal relationship we have with our shareholders. Yesterday was a really important day for us. We had I won't say unexpected, but a pleasant surprise with our revenue achievement in October. We had a important beat in the infrastructure space and the renewable space. We were not anticipating that kind of growth, but in our acquisition strategy, this is part and parcel to what we hope to accomplish. And we are going to be scaling as we go forward. For anybody that's spent time with our IR deck, you know we have a lot in the pipeline with our roadmap, and we expect that the next year is going to be very busy, and we'll have a lot to say as we go forward. So thanks very much for joining us, and we'll try to do as many of these as we possibly can going forward.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and get started here. We have a lot of questions, as you said, Mark. First, number one question: when will 700 phantom shares and 420 restricted shares be removed from and reflected on the OTCM website?
Well, first, the 420 shares should be reflected now. If you check, I think the week-on-week share count, it should have gone down. The 700 million phantom shares is a little more difficult because it requires some legal work that we are engaged in. I can't say that I'm 100% certain, but we do have hope that we can get that resolved, and we'll have more to say about that as we go forward. So once I have some traction there, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome. Question number two: why are the Flight Eye Solutions and GDN technology not on the company's website?
Well, right now we are only disclosing the details of with our strategic customers and strategic partners that we're working with. It's just the way that things have to be when you're operating in the DoD space, and some of this has to do with our own confidentiality and our own desire to keep things where they need to be so we can compete and have a competitive advantage. Some of this has to do with what we consider to be classified information as well. And so as we make some progress there and we get some things nailed down, just like you see a lot about our Bright Eye and associated products, we'll be able to do the same. And some of that direction is going to be software based, and some of that direction is going to be hardware based. So as those things come to fruition, we'll be able to share more. Be patient and know that we have your best interests in mind as well as the company's.
Awesome. Question number three: in what year and quarter will we be debt free and cash positive?
We expect to be cash flow positive in Q3 of next year. Debt free in 30 months or so. We don't consider all debt to be bad debt. In fact, if you look at the relationship we just cemented with Brett Rosen and Deborah Braun and RB Capital, that debt's a very healthy debt to have on the books. Converts at 25 cents, which is remarkable, and we really appreciate their support, and that's going to give us the growth capital we need to get to the next level. So that debt is a very favorable debt, and the debts that we want to make sure that we deal with are anything from the trade side where we have, part supply, that type of thing, and we keep that under control now. And our books are actually in pretty good shape. We're excited about where we're going to end the year.
Awesome. Question number four: can we expect all or majority of the acquisitions in review Q4 completed in this quarter?
Well, we have 5 that are noted in the roadmap, and we think at least 2, possibly 3 or 4 will come to fruition. It's just a matter of time. All of these things have their own rate and pace, and we're pushing, as everyone can tell, as fast as we can. We've done 3 in the last 60 days, so it's possible. And we've had some things in the works that are running in parallel, of course. So we'll let you know. I mean, the acquisition of the Havas SAS company that I guess has caused some confusion, which I'll address further down the line. But that particular company has some rights to up to 100 hectares of land. So that might be a faster path for us to get some of those projects started and some of the things on the roadmap nailed down. We certainly have a lot of excitement around that particular acquisition, as it gives us rights to a very favorable set of land costs, and that will help us get that business back in acceleration mode.
Awesome. Question number 5, is the company focused more on drones, drone tech, infrastructure tech, or LED products for the year 2022?
That's a great question. Obviously, we have a lot going on. So in rank order, I guess I would say drone and drone tech. Then we would probably go with LED and sensor technology. I'll kind of lump those together. We have quite a few options there of things that we have customer demand for and things that we know need to be done. And then I would say infrastructure, tech, and software. Over time, we're going to be investing quite a bit in that space. And obviously, it was responsible for our revenue beat this month. So if you look at our IR deck and the forecast for the future, you can see that we expect that drones and infrastructure are going to be the competing leaders, and underneath that infrastructure software is really the one that we expect to see the most growth after drones. So we're investing accordingly, and that's the priority right now.
Awesome. Question number 6, is there a plan or time frame for Cyberlux? Cyberlux has to set up to uplist to OTCQB or OTCQX?
So we're working right now to develop the plans. We have a number of possible iBanks that we're meeting with. I'll be in New York next week, for example, and we'd expect to have a definitive timeline probably starting in first quarter. I'll certainly be communicating more as we know more. We do expect to start our audit requirements in that same quarter. So things are coming together, but it's a little preliminary to say exactly what's going to happen when.
Awesome. Question number 7, if there was, what would the plan, the how, be to uplist to NASDAQ?
Well, I think, we are going to rely a lot on organic growth. We think that institutional investors are key. We've had some interest and we've had some step up, as perhaps some of you have recognized. We have more to be done in that space. There's a number of ways that we can do this, and it's really going to depend on the best plan for our current shareholders and working in concert with the investment bank that we're going to use to do the uplisting. It's quite possible we may move our way through the OTC uplisting process first and then move over to NASDAQ after. It's just going to depend a lot on how fast things continue to scale. If we have more Octobers, then we're going to be drawn to NASDAQ a lot faster. So it's just a matter of how we see the plan come together. We try to remain flexible, and right now the plans are still coming together.
Awesome. Question number 8. When will Q3 2021 financial statements be released?
Well, we're working on the report since the quarter closed, and the timing is on or before the 15th of November. So we'll hit that date for sure. Really what takes the most time in all this is making sure that we have all of the unaudited financials as thoroughly internally audited as we can. And we try to be very beholden to our past when we were reporting to the SEC. You'll notice our report form's a little different than what the OTC has recommended. That's because that's what we used to file with our 10Qs and 10Ks. And we've just kept that format because, we know that's where we're headed back at some point soon.
Awesome. Question number 9. What can be done about this market manipulation? Is there a way you can contact the SEC and have them investigate if this is completely legal?
It's a really hard situation for a company to take that mantle and to push that forward. We're in as everyone knows, kind of the wild west of the markets in this OTC space. It's frustrating for all of us, including me, when you see things moving in the very exciting direction that we see the company moving, but yet the stock is up, down, sideways, sideways. A lot of people buying in, a lot of people buying out. It's just very difficult for us to really take that as a mission when our mission really is to grow revenue and to grow the company and to return shareholder value. Now, what I would say is we have a very recent playbook that we can follow as a community and check out what the shareholders did, the diamond hands of GameStop. I mean, that's a particular lesson that we can all learn. If we keep our CYBL stock in a cash account, it can't be loaned for shorting the stock. And I think everybody in this particular channel probably is aware of how that all worked out. So I'm not encouraging it, or I'm not discouraging it, but that's what can be done. And that's really the most that I can say about that matter.
Awesome. Next question. In relation to partnerships that have been announced via the IR deck, do you expect the joint PR to be detailed about these partnerships, i.e. Boeing, Wolfspeed, L3 Harris? Do you plan on releasing information on the extent of these partnerships?
Yeah, we fully expect to release news jointly as soon as possible. This is not our decision. We did get some leeway, as everyone noted, and it was in the IR deck. But specific things that we're working on, specific strategic relationships, we have to protect their interests, number one. We're invited to the party. We have to make sure that we can stay at the party and not get removed. So we want our strategic partners to be comfortable with exactly where we are, what we're disclosing, what we're not saying. And, we abide by their confidentiality. And we certainly have had our own experience, as I've relayed to the community before, where we were a little too boisterous about a $8 million DoD contract we had earmarked back in the day, and lost that to a competitor that responded to a bid with literally 5 minutes left in the bid cycle, and they underbid us by about $500,000. And since that day, we have had a corporate culture of saying as little as we possibly can. Now, being a public company, we have to give everybody a sense of where we're going and how we're going, but we're not going to put our strategic relationships in jeopardy in any way. I think everyone who's a shareholder can understand what's best for the company in the long run includes making sure our strategic partners are as valued as the information and the stock bump we would get incrementally from having joint announcements in due time and when it's possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Next question. When do you expect to complete and announce the high-level personnel additions to the team, COO and 4 new directors?
Well, we are in an envious position of being able to have a number of different candidates we're selecting. One of the things we didn't anticipate fully is that with acquiring, 3 companies and roughly 20 odd new employees, that we really needed to do some internal vetting also. So we're taking a cycle to look inside. We have, I think, 1 outside board of director member that we will be announcing soon. We have a couple of really high caliber COO candidates that we're looking at. And we have some other resource internally that, it's just spectacular. And so we're going to try to do some internal optimization and continue to look for the other outside directors we want. But it's a process, and the last thing we want to do is rush a marriage that should last for the foreseeable future with a company moving as we are from OTC ultimately to NASDAQ. So we want to have the right people, and I've done it both ways. We've had the wrong people, and that can be very painful, and we've had no people, that can be very painful. So we're going to try to get the right people at the right time.
Awesome. Okay, next question. Are there currently DoD contracts that are in place that you aren't able to release details and revenues?
Yes and yes. Some things we can disclose, other things we just can't. I will say there are some new projects that will be very public, and we'll be able to, energize the notion of what we're doing there in the coming months. So just be patient, and we'll have some additional public comments on public projects. I am actually working right now on a particular opportunity. I'm at a remote location right this moment, but we are very confident about that, and it's a phenomenal opportunity. So more as we can, but that one will be public, and we'll be able to disclose that fully.
Awesome. Next question. It looks like Q2 2022 has 2 projects that are blocked out. Will those partnerships and or acquisitions be revealed in Q2, or are they kept hidden due to contract reasons?
Yes, we can't disclose that activity at this point. As soon as we can, we will.
Noted. Next question. How many total acquisitions are you all forecasting or in review through 2022? Are the revenues projected on the roadmap inclusive of those acquisitions?
Yeah, so we have roughly 25 targeted entities. Some of these may turn out to be joint ventures as we get into it. We'll see. So far, the acquisitions we've done have been, minimally dilutive, and have really accelerated our participation in their particular market segments. So that seems to be the preferred way for us to go. But there are 25. We have 10 anointed in the forecast as most probable, and we're going to see what we can do to get as many as possible, but along the way things will change, I'm sure. We put on the roadmap everything that we thought was in the pipeline that was worth noting, and as the prior question identified, there are certain things we can't even disclose that we're working on. So as we go forward, 10 is in the forecast. We hope there'll be more.
Great. Next question. Can you touch on the C2 Constellation project and your current involvement?
I can say we've been involved in the past. We believe this is still the right platform for what we consider to be the vision of the future and our participation in it. We included that chart with the IR deck because we believe it does encompass what our capabilities are going to enable. It's a big picture, and we have a lot to accomplish and a lot of partnerships, I might add, that are going to make that entire ecosystem happen. It's not all Cyberlux. This is the way that we can participate with a lot of strategic partners, and it is a starting point for how we see the future unfold. It's a nod to history and a promise of our future.
Awesome. Next question. Do you anticipate share structure changes will be needed in an effort to uplist to NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange?
Well, we're still developing the plan, so there's really nothing to report at this moment. Obviously, as we head through some meetings next week in NYC, as I said we would, I'll keep everybody up to date as we have plans developed. But there's nothing really to say at this moment until we get our plans firmed up and have a real direction.
Awesome. Next question. Have you received interest from institutional investors to date? Do you anticipate Investors from Wolfspeed, Boeing, L3 will jump on at the opportunity to invest significantly in the near future or 6 months?
So we've had those types of discussions and discussions with institutions. We're aware of 2 or 3 that have taken at least a small position. We expect more of that. One of the things that RB Capital does to us, for us, is put us on a more competitive roadmap with some of the institutions they have interact with. So we're just on the front end of that with a week into the relationship. So we do expect that to be a very fertile opportunity. And obviously we're dealing with a lot of strategic partners that have pretty solid reputations for how they work with smaller companies like ours.
Awesome. Any plans to hire a PR firm? The great work you're doing needs more eyes.
Well, we have just recently brought on Flying V, which you may have noted with our multiple media channels. We've just increased our social media presence across all platforms thanks to their hard work and effort. You are listening to one of the key members of the Flying V team ask me questions. So, well, you'll see more interaction from this group going forward. And I think you will have noted that if you looked at it, our press releases, starting with the announcement of RB Capital and Sherry Nolan last week, we did put on a broader distribution. So things are starting to show up in the Wall Street Journal feed and the Yahoo feed, et cetera. We'll be doing that going forward, and hopefully, the good news and the important news will get more eyes on it for that reason alone.
Great. Well, we're happy to be on board. Next question. When will your financials be released? Will they be audited?
So like I said earlier, we expect Q3 to be on or before the 15th of November. So, next week or so. And not audited this time. We expect to have auditors in the company's employ sometime in first quarter, and we expect 2022 to be audited.
Great. Do the revenue projections in your IR deck include any of your 20+ upcoming acquisitions?
Yeah, as we said earlier, there are 10 acquisitions that are in the forecast. We have 25 potential targets, and expect the ratio of closed versus not closed to be higher, but 10 is the number that's in the current projections. Great.
Next question. Your shareholders love seeing the updates via Twitter. Can we expect to see future press releases with more substantial news?
Yes, I think again, with the Flying V team and Brennan here on board, we're going to have a much broader reach and a deeper push with the news that's important news. Things that we do on Twitter, are usually the breaking news that may or may not require or justify a press release. Our revenue beat yesterday that we announced, for example, it's in October. We don't usually put a PR out about an October revenue. That's usually a quarterly accomplishment. So we wanted to get the news out because it's important, and the Flying V team did help amplify that with some good graphics and the cross-platform presence that we have now. We'll plan on operating that way. So when there's important information like Miss Nolan joining, or the acquisition of Havas, or FBD, we'll make sure that gets broader release in the normal PR mode that we're in now.
Awesome. Can we reach out to your partners, i.e. Boeing, Wolfspeed, et cetera, for questions/research about their relationship with you?
Yeah, I know that everyone is anxious for us to be able to do a press release with all these symbols, but you have to understand that we are working in a confidential, classified, in some cases, way. So the analogy I can come up with is if someone were to ask you if they could talk to your personal physician about your health condition, there are just certain things that are not the right way to go about it. So if you bombard our partners with calls, you might get somebody to answer the phone, but they're not going to tell you anything because they can't. If I could tell you, I would. So, I think again, in hoping that everyone has the best interest in mind for the company's growth and the future of our shareholder value, you're welcome to do whatever you want, but I don't think it's going to yield many results that are, of any interest. As soon as I can share the information, I will.
Great. Other than Twitter, how do you plan on keeping investors informed on your company's progress? Social media, newspaper articles, magazines, news stations like CNBC, etc.
Well, I think the good news is this company's had a rich history of operating in the media and with good PR support coming from Flying V. I think we'll be able to do both short form and long form PR in an increasing pace as we get more inertia and more momentum behind us. It's easier to get somebody in the targeted media to be interested in writing articles about us and getting placement that way. And I feel confident we'll be able to achieve that. So it's just a matter of time. It's a process. We will be, pushing the envelope as hard as we can. As everyone knows, we seem to work most of the days of the week, and we like it that way. And we'll make sure that the rest of the world understands what we're accomplishing as we get things done.
Awesome. Next question. What can we look forward to in the next 6 months and the next 2 years?
Well, the entire organization is super excited about scaling the vision that we've expressed in a number of different forms. I think most inclusively in the IR deck recently. We are transforming the company into a technology platform company. We have many verticals that we're investigating, but we've identified 4 that we think are part of our DNA and extend our capabilities into markets that are truly enormous. Our move into the drone tech and drone space was very well contemplated for a while, and we just had to have the right catalyst to get us there. Our flight GDN technology, we think, is going to be really remarkable as we get through some of our strategic partner and customer discussions. We'll be able to say more about that going forward. We think that the scope of the infrastructure, technology, hardware, software is really interesting, and we have some really remarkable projects with the ongoing covert and white lighting capability that we have and that core technology that we have. There's a lot of strategic IP in the pipeline that we're really excited about. And of course, as everyone's noted before, any of these strategic relationships we have, we're really excited to see those bring forward something that is, going to change the world as we know it. So we're working in that regard, and that's really very exciting for all of us.
Awesome. Are there any plans to have quarterly shareholder meetings?
Yeah, we like that idea. I think it's, again, just a matter of maturation and the process. I'd like to say that maybe we'll have a fourth quarter review, year-end review, and maybe a first quarter shareholder meeting, something like that. We'll start to schedule the phone call so that we can walk through numbers and talk about the business in that context. Like that idea, and we'll be working towards a schedule to get that done.
Awesome. Are there any plans of Delusion within the next 6 months?
Well, I think when we do acquisitions, as we've stated in our most recent shareholder letter, there will be dilution, but it's the kind of dilution that everybody wants, in that it's giving, a price point in the stock a real opportunity to mature as we add capability and add alliances and add the internal resources. I mean, I point to the personnel that I mentioned earlier. You know, we have some really remarkable people in the company now that 60 days ago we did not have. So we have to let that whole process work its way through as well. So I think you know, it's just a matter of time and a matter of keeping the course we're on and accelerating when we can accelerate.
Awesome. What information are you not allowed to disclose to shareholders/press?
Well, certainly anything classified, anything confidential, anything that's tied to agreements or you know, projects where, like I've said earlier, we've had our own experience with losing business, and we're just not going to operate that way. So we will disclose whatever we possibly can because it's to everybody's benefit to know what our direction is. We've said a lot in the IR deck, and I would continue to point people back to that. And you know, sometimes it's more of what we don't say than what we do say. So we'll you know, always be able to disclose what we can, and when we're not saying something, there's a reason.
Got it. What are your thoughts on your current share price?
You know, this is not where I can speculate. What I can say is that we know there's a lot that we've announced recently. We know there's a lot in the pipeline that we've shown a roadmap for. We think that the perturbations in the stock price that we're seeing right now are just part and parcel to the broader market, and you know, maybe some additional eyes that we're seeing come into the stock that were not there before. So I can't really comment, but I do think that, you know, we've announced what we're doing and we've shown results. We deliver when we say we're going to deliver. So those are the only things I can control, and you know, we just have to move forward as fast as we can to scale and to achieve our stated objectives.
Awesome. Next one's a little bit of a long one. Hi, I'm a Cyberlux shareholder. Love the work you guys are doing. Congratulations on your acquisition of Havas Group. I read your press release and it looks like it will be a great addition to Cyberlux. I'm trying to do some research on Havas Group, but couldn't find any information online. I found a Havas Group website, but they appear to be a marketing organization. Does the Havas Group that you acquired have a website? Appreciate any information you can provide and look forward to more great news from your team. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, thanks very much. This has been certainly a point of confusion for everybody, and it's I guess no secret that there are a number of Havas groups out in the world. We did not acquire $1 billion media company. I can clarify that and remove any confusion. The company we acquired, Havas Group SAS, is a Colombian registered company. They work in finance and have worked with the Colombian government, which is how we came to know Mr. Vasquez, who runs the company. Harrison and I have known each other for a number of years. During the pandemic, they were in a position to be able to take advantage of some of the issues and ended up with the rights to about 100 hectares of land that we think is primed for renewable development. So this was an acquisition that came about through a number of years of relationships that were tangential. Harrison actually was located in our Colombia, Bogota office building, which is how I came to meet him face to face. So he's actually now relocating in the office right next to the proper Cyberlux office. So we'll be co-located, and you know, we're expecting that at least one of those projects is going to be online very soon. So that's the reason for the acquisition. We did not buy $1 billion media company. We've had a couple people reach out to them, and you know, I'm sorry that they're having to answer for what a common company name is, but I can let everybody rest assured that I want to acquire $1 billion company, but we're just not quite there yet. And this is the kind of company that we need right now to give us a acceleration of our infrastructure and renewable platform in South America. As we said in the IR deck, we have big South American plans that we'd started, and then everything was put on hold because of the pandemic. And if you want to understand what the COVID impact was, you can read all about how it literally shut down most of South America. Colombia was very hard, hit very hard. And so unfortunately, in those circumstances, the cards get shuffled, but we're actually holding a good deck, holding a good hand out of that deck now.
Awesome. This is the final question of the night. Does Cyberlux own the proprietary technology patents for all categories of business as a whole, or is that technology outsourced in the US? Thanks for your reply. This is great news for an investor.
Sure, we own all the underlying patents for any products that we consider to be strategic, things like Bright Eye and the derivatives. We are developing strategic IP in addition to that for the new products. I've touched on a few tonight, and we think our strategic IP partners give us a real leg up when it comes to how we're going to create strategic advantage. I mean, intellectual property is only as good as a competitive advantage it provides. So we try to focus our efforts where we think there's a real ownable space, and that's the IP philosophy we have here. And when we're having the opportunity to work with partners like we are, then there's a lot that can come of that. So we're very excited about the future.
Awesome. Well, that was the final question. I'll let you have a closing statement if you want here for everyone watching.
Sure. Again, an inaugural broadcast, so we appreciate everybody hanging in there as we work out some of the kinks. I'm sure it'll get better. We'll try to do some things on the fly here and there. I'm someone who likes to have things like this planned, but I also recognize that when I'm down in Miami next week at our Miami office, or when we're in New York and there might be something of interest, that we'll try to figure out with the Flying V guys how to get that information into this platform. So more as we go, and please keep the questions coming. Again, you can always reach us through IR_CYBL@cyberlux.com. And thanks very much for the time tonight.